Se você fala ou estuda inglês e já está num nível intermediário, ou seja, já consegue entender quase tudo que escuta, consegue falar praticamente tudo que quer, não da maneira que quer, mas consegue se comunicar, você já deve ter percebido que é muito mais fácil entender brasileiros falando, se você for brasileiro, é claro, ou português, enfim. É mais fácil entender, né, um brasileiro, um falante da língua portuguesa falando inglês, por melhor que seja o seu sotaque, né, no sentido de próximo dos nativos, do que os nativos em si. E isso não é surpresa pra ninguém, mas é uma coisa que eu vejo bastante aqui no canal, nos vídeos que eu faço e já fiz aqui pro YouTube. Vem muito brasileiro aqui dizendo, olha, eu tenho dificuldade em entender nativos falando, mas eu consegui entender tudo que você falou. E isso, em algum momento da minha vida, talvez já tenha me, por falta de uma palavra melhor, ofendido. Mas agora me deixa muito feliz, porque eu percebo que a minha possibilidade de te ajudar com o teu inglês, né, no sentido de trazer palavras novas, digamos, te ajudar a perder o medo de falar, de entender, de interagir com pessoas em inglês. Então isso é algo que eu considero um ponto positivo que eu tenho hoje em dia como professor, como brasileiro que ensina inglês. Então, neste vídeo em especial, eu quero, como o título você já leu, não é clickbait, eu quero testar o seu, digamos, listening skill, né? As suas listening skills, suas habilidades de audição, ou seja, o quanto que você consegue entender e acompanhar. E eu vou fazer isso, é claro, não tem outra maneira a não ser falando 100% em inglês. E é o que eu vou começar a fazer em 3, 2, 1. Nem precisava contar, mas fica legal, né? Hey, what's up? Now 100% in English from now on. So yeah, as I said in Portuguese before, my plan here is having you under that amount of words in English, of English words, if you will, and seeing how much, I mean, you tell me, I cannot see that unless you write down in the comment section below how easy it is, or how easier it is for you to understand what I'm saying versus anything else you hear from English native speakers, all right? And the first thing I would like to talk about when we talk about English native speakers is that, well, probably it's super clear, but my purpose here is speaking English. I haven't written any script, so I'm gonna say the obvious because the purpose here is seeing you checking on yourself if you can, how much you can understand. Hopefully 100%, but maybe 90%. All right. So what I'm trying to say here is maybe I'm saying something obvious, but since I'm saying it in English, it isn't obvious but useful at the same time. All right. So what I'm about to say is that when it comes to English native speakers, we have people from different countries, all right? And when I say different countries, I mean very different countries, you know, in terms of, in cultural terms, in ethnical terms, and obviously in speaking terms, in speech terms, all right? That is, they have different accents, just like we Brazilians have a different accent, or different accents in plural, if you will, compared to people from Portugal, right? So the very same thing happens in English. So you have to, you know, keep it in mind every time you engage in a conversation with someone in English, all right? Because maybe that person is from one of these countries, all right? Say India, say Australia, of course, USA, Canada, you name it, you know. Or maybe that person learned from those countries, one of those countries, you know. What meaning that they have this accent, all right? So yeah, it's important to be ready, what I'm trying to say here, all right? It's to be ready to hear all kinds of English accents, all right? So which ones would I personally recommend as being the most difficult ones, all right? Well, I need to to say something else, all right, before even getting there. When it comes to difficult accent, it is before anything else, before a cultural aspect, before a Africa, whatever. It is a personal thing, right? How many people you know? I want you to, stop and think for 1 second. How many people out there, wherever you are in Brazil or outside of Brazil, who are not very good speakers of their own language? Meaning they don't speak in a very clear way. It's not that they don't speak in a very clear way. It's that the opposite happens. When they open their mouths, you have trouble, understanding them, especially when you're not used to those people, When you get used to a person, no matter how fast, how stuttering, if that's even a word, if that person is a stutterer, how much of word shortener, another thing that I probably came up with just right now, so you can get it. So a person who shortens words, all right? How much that person is, all right? We have thousands of examples out there in videos on the social medias, on the internet, of Brazilians speaking in a way that even Brazilians will have a hard time understanding, all right? And you certainly have someone in your circle, in your social circle, all right, or more than someone, like a couple of people or a lot of people, who you go like, oh, that person, you probably never thought about it until this point, but maybe if you think about it, when you listen to that person the next time, you're gonna go like, wow, well, if an English native speaker or any other from any other non-Portuguese speaking country would be here listening to that person right now, he or she would be in big trouble to keep up with whatever it is that they're saying. All right. So, making a long story short, or in a nutshell, as they say, what it has to be said about accents is that it's personal, all right? So don't punish yourself, all right? For Christ's sake, do not punish yourself when you do not understand what somebody says, all right? And when somebody says, what I mean here is that when you talk to someone face to face or via online, be that Google Meet, Zoom, whatever, all right? Don't punish yourself, because maybe that person is not a good speaker, as I said. Actually, probably, chances are that that person is not a very good speaker, because most people aren't, right? Or maybe he or she didn't manage to explain themselves, all right? At that moment, the words came out, poorly, or anything else. But don't punish yourself, all right? Do your best, get to be used to more and more different accents, but don't punish yourself, because you don't need to. Actually, you don't gain anything from punishing yourself, for not understanding, an English native speaker. When I say English native speaker, I mean anyone whose first language is English, all right? Be that American, be Canadian, be Australian, you name it. So the second point I would like to go over about the listening skills. One of the things that people tell me, students, people who I talk to, people here on YouTube, they say, well, and I include myself in this. I probably agree with these comments. All right, is that, well, understanding movies, just like watching, is super hard. It is quite a challenge. All right, this is true. It is kind of a challenge to me today. It isn't if I have my earphones on. It's not a challenge. But if I'm watching it on a TV or in a place where the acoustic is not that good, I will probably not understand 100% of the words. And what is the reason to that? Because I suck at listening, at understanding. I suck at understanding native speakers. Maybe that's a possibility, but I would go with, and maybe I'm not the best person to say that, but I will go with the possibility of that what I'm about to tell you. Let me just change the word possibility for probability. The probability that, well, when you watch a movie, you're listening to downwritten words, and more than downwritten words written in advance, words carefully put together with specific purposes. All right, be that the narrative of the movie, be that the character building thing, you name it. There are literally hundreds of possibilities, of probabilities of why it is that movie lines are so hard. My coffee is even cold. Sorry, but what I'm trying to say here is that it is having all these probabilities of having all these probabilities put together. It isn't hard to understand and to accept the fact that a movie has not a purpose of being understood. Let me say it again. A movie, just like any other form of art, a movie has not any intention of being understood. What are you talking about, Gary? Why is it that, what are you talking about? Forms of art, movies are art, are meant to be interpreted, are meant to be interpreted. You have to interpret the lines, you have to read something here, hear something here/read something here and there, collect the pieces of information, put together, and make your own, understanding of the scenarios, depicted. That's how it is. Movies are not English speaking practice. English listening skills practice. Am I saying that they're not good to practice? Of course, I'm not saying that. They're awesome to practice, but they're not made to. They're not made for that purpose. That's what I'm saying here. All right. So you have to keep that in mind as soon as possible. If you're starting to study English right now, if you're Brazilian, especially if you're Brazilian, if you're starting to learn English right now and you want to go like, oh, I want to watch movies in English. Okay, you can do that. If that's your mission, if that's your goal, go for it. It even sounds cool. Like that's your goal, go for it. But don't expect it to be easy, why don't you start off with podcasts, for example? Because podcasts are meant to be understood. Interviews are meant to be understood. What people are saying in real life is meant to be understood, not interpreted. All right, big difference. Well, I could talk more about different accents, all right, and how much different they are from Brazilians when they speak English, myself included, right? I start off saying that in Portuguese. So I would really like to know from you, to hear from you, / read from you in the comment section below. How much have you understood? Just shoot me, like, 100%, 0%. If you're using the subtitles right now to understand what I'm saying, that's cheating, all right? That's not fair, okay? Please don't do that, all right? I mean, you can do that just to satisfy your curiosity, but I'm not saying anything super smart here that is worth it, watching just because, it is worth it to practice English. That's it. That's why I turned this camera on, this microphone on, and this is it. All right. So please let me know, because I really want to bring more of these to this channel. And of course, they're meant to you, all right? They're produced to you, all right? From the bottom of my heart, straight to you, wherever you are, all right?